निताय के पाय गुरु कथा धामदाय नगर ग्राम तारिणी नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरकृष्णे नमः। नमो ब्रह्मण देवाय ब्रह्मणताय जगद्धिताय कृष्ण आनन्दलीलामय विग्रहाय हिमावदिव्य छवि सुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रसप्रदाय चैतन्य चन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। चैतन्य चन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we have come to chapter 4 with the name The Wise Man. Since no one can trace the history of the living entity's entanglement in the material energy, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that it is beginningless. By beginningless, Mahaprabhu meant that conditioned life exists prior to the creation. It simply becomes manifest during and after the creation. Due to forgetfulness of our real nature, the living entity, although is the spirit, starts suffering all kinds of miseries in this material existence. It should be understood that there are also living entities who are not entangled in this material energy, but they are situated in the spiritual world. They are called liberated souls and are always engaged in Krishna consciousness or in pure devotional service. The activities of those who are conditioned by material nature are taken into account. So, the activities of those who are conditioned by the material nature, those are taken into account, and in their next life, according to these activities, they are offered different grades of material bodies. Thus, in the material world, the conditioned spirit soul is subjected to various rewards and punishments. When he is rewarded for his righteous activities, he is elevated to the higher planets, where he becomes one of the many demigods. And when he is punished for his abominable activities, he is thrown into the various hellish planets, where he suffers the miseries of material existence more acutely. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives a very nice example of this punishment. Formerly, a king used to punish a criminal by having him dunked in a river. So, dunked in a river, then raised up again for breath, and then again dunked in the water. So, we have many times in movies it is shown that the criminal is put inside that drum of water, and until he becomes like fully breathless till his last breath is put inside the water. Then again he will be pulled out, and then he will grasp his breath, and again is put in the water. Third degree torture. So here Mahaprabhu is giving this example. And Srila Prabhupada is saying Mahaprabhu gives a very nice example of this kind of punishment. What kind of punishment we actually have to go through in this material world. And then again that criminal is dunked into the water. Material nature punishes and rewards the individual living entity in just the same way. So punishment is when the material nature puts our head inside the water, dunks our head into the water, and reward is when for a moment it takes the head out of the water. That is the reward in this material world. When he is punished, he is dunked in the water of material miseries. And when he is rewarded, he is taken out of it for some time. Elevation to the higher planets or to a higher status of life on this planet is these are like rewards, but they are never permanent. one must again come down to be submerged in the water. All this is constantly going on in this material existence. Sometimes one is elevated to higher planetary systems, and sometimes one is thrown into the hellish condition of life, material life. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited a nice verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 37th verse. That is part of the instructions of Srila Narad Muni to Sri Vasudev, the father of Krishna. Bhayam dvitiyaabhiniveshatah syad ईशाद अपेतस्य विपर्यवो स्मृतिः तन्मायया तो बुध आभजेत्तं भक्त्यैकयेशं गुरुदेवतात्मा भयं द्वितीयाभिनिवेशतः स्याद् ईशादपेतस्य विपर्यायो अस्मृतिः तन्मायया तो बुध आभजेतं भक्त्यैकयेशं गुरुदेवतात्मा. In this verse, which Sri Narad Muni quotes from the instructions that the 9 Yogendras imparted to Maharaj Nimi, Maya is defined as forgetfulness of one's relationship with Krishna. What is Maya? Forgetfulness of one's relationship with Krishna. That is Maya. Krishna, Mahaprabhu has also said that কৃষ্ণ ভুলিয়া জীব ভোগবাঞ্ছা করে নিকটস্থ মায়া তারে ঝাপটিয়া ধরে. So the same thing. Narad Muni has explained and given instruction from the instructions given by 9 Yogendras to Maharaj Nimi. The same thing, that Maya is forgetfulness of one's relationship with Krishna. Actually, Maya means that which is not. Means if somebody says that uh, eat this fruit. If I tell that Kuhili, eat this nice mango, but she's saying there is no mango in my hand. I'm just saying, eat this nice mango. It is so tasty. So it is not there. So that which is not, that is Maya, illusion. Thus, it is false to think that the living entity has no connection with the Supreme Lord. He may not believe in the existence of God. We know there are so many people, in fact, more number of people who don't want to believe in God, don't want to believe in the existence of God, and they proudly call themselves as atheists. So he may not believe in the existence of God, or he may think he has no relationship with God. Yeah, fine, God is there, but I don't care. मुझे क्या करना है भगवान से? But these ideas are all illusions or Maya, that which is not. A relationship is there, and every person is subjected to the directions given by the Supreme Lord to the material nature for the functioning of this living entity. Everything that a living entity is doing is actually under the material modes of nature, which is under the direct instruction of the Supreme Lord. So whether one wants to believe or not, whether one understands the relationship or not, but they are an illusion, but actually there is always a relationship. Due to the absorption in this false conception of life, a man is always fearful and full of anxieties. Oh, what will happen? That is because we have forgotten our relation with Krishna. There is no need to worry, because Krishna is already, the plan is made. We are just part of the plan. We are like one small dot, and if you start zooming out, that dot is not seen at all in the room also, and then slowly when you zoom out, then from the room there is the house, then the house, the society can be seen, the streets can be seen, the city can be seen, the entire district can be the town and everything is seen, the state is seen, the country is seen, and then the earth planet is seen, and then the universe is seen. Where is that dot seen? The dot is never nowhere to be seen. So we are like that dot actually. So in other words, Maya is the godless concept of life. One who is actually learned in the Vedic literature surrenders unto the Supreme Lord with great devotion and accepts him as the supreme goal. When a living entity forgets the constitutional nature of his relationship with God, he is at once overwhelmed by the external energy. This is the cause of his false ego, his false identification of the body with the self. Self means the Atma, the soul. Wherever we see this term self, myself, actually that self is the Atma. It is referring to the spirit soul. So the false identification of the body with the self. Indeed, his whole conception of the material universe arises from this false identification with the body. For he becomes too attached to the body and its byproducts. Byproducts means the children and so on and so forth. To escape this entanglement, he has only to perform his duty, namely to surrender unto the Supreme Lord with intelligence, with devotion, and with sincere Krishna consciousness. Nobody has asked us to surrender to the Supreme Lord, keeping the intelligence in the cupboard. We have to use our intelligence. There has to be devotion and sincere practice of Krishna consciousness under the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, under the instruction of the representative, the bona fide representative of the bona fide spiritual master. Then we are sure to make safe progress. So, is there any question, any doubt? If anybody has, then we'll take or we will stop here. Okay, yes, Pragna.
Hello, I have a
Yes,
clarification to ask.
yes, Pragna.
Uh, we we were reading that third line. Since no one can trace the history of living entities' entanglement in material energy, the Lord says that it is beginningless. By beginningless, it is mean that conditional life exists prior to the creation. Now the life, life was not existing before creation, na? As I know or as I learn that the life has come after the creation. And before the creation, it was only spiritual world where only Krishna was there.
No, actually, the spiritual world is eternally existing. Spiritual
Hmm.
world never gets there is never a time when the spiritual world does not exist.
Yeah,
But
it was there always. Yeah.
yes, it is beginningless and it is endless.
Huh.
But the material world manifests and also becomes unmanifested. And that depends on the glance of Mahavishnu. When Vishnu glances at Prakriti, at those 24 uh, um, um, those 24 items that are there, we'll study in the Bhagavad Gita. So when Mahavishnu glances at these material energies that are emanating from him only, that are his not his expansions but emanations, his manifestations, uh, when he glances, then the activities start happening, because then the life comes into it just by his glance. But they are never non-existing. What it means is that it is manifested and unmanifested. So when Mahavishnu breathes in, all the universes that were now existing and all the activities were going on, all the living entities were active and everything was going on, everything goes inside the body of Mahavishnu, and whatever was going on, they stay in that same position in supta, or in uh, it becomes dormant, everything becomes dormant. And then again, so that is why it is called temporary. It is not false, but it is temporary. It is an illusion because it manifests and unmanifests. And then again, when Mahavishnu breathes out, then all these universes come out again, and everything starts actively going on again. From where they were dormant, again they all become awakened, and they start doing their activities again from that point. So it is beginningless because the creation was always there, but only sometimes it is manifested and other times it is unmanifested. But it was always existing. And there are two kinds of living entities that we saw previously. One type is the Nitya Baddha. They are eternally conditioned. Nitya means eternally, and Baddha means bound. Bound by the material energy or the material nature. That means they are eternally conditioned. They have not, they have never been able to break the cycle of condition and never gone to the spiritual world because um, of what we are doing. Like, we don't want to surrender to Krishna, we want to enjoy. So this enjoyment leads to suffering, then suffering leads to more suffering. That goes on, that cycle goes on. And then there is another type of living entity who are called Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated. They are eternally with Krishna in the spiritual world, and if Krishna wants, then they are sent to the material world for preaching. Or when Krishna appears in some planet, in some universe, then Krishna takes all his parshad with him. So they are eternally Krishna's associates, Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated. So they never fall down to the material world. They never fall down. They are always under the instruction of Krishna. But we are eternally bound by the material energies, and now we are trying to break this by surrendering to Krishna. So, what it is said here is that when this living entity came in contact with the material nature or material energy, it is very difficult to say. For example, Srila Prabhupada gives a very wonderful example. Let me try to remember it. Actually, one person had asked him that at what point we fell down from the spiritual world. How did we fall down, and at what point did we fall down from the spiritual world? So, Srila Prabhupada says that when there is a fire in the house and everything is burning up quickly, the fire is devouring everything. We are not going to actually, this is not the example. I can't remember the exact example that Srila Prabhupada gave, but this is another example that I heard. So I'm sharing this, that when the fire is devouring everything, I am not going to stand there and ask, ये आग लगा कैसे? How did the fire happen? Because I can see it is burning up everything, and in 2 seconds I am going to become ash. So before I become ash, I have to move out of the house. And once I am out of the house, then I have all the time to ask the questions. How did the fire happen and this? So Srila Prabhupada says that rather than sitting and debating or trying to understand at what point I fell down from the spiritual world, first you make arrangements to go out of this material world, go to the spiritual world, there you will meet Krishna, then you have all the time. You ask him, how did I fall down? What happened? What was the moment? So this is what Srila Prabhupada says, that we don't know at what point we got entangled in the material energy. Therefore, it is called beginningless. There was never there was never a point when we did not exist. There was never a point when these eternally Nitya Baddhas and Nitya Siddhas did not exist. Everybody is always existing. Some are Nitya Baddha, some are Nitya Siddha. So we are in the material world, they are in the spiritual world. But we have always existed. And the material world is manifested sometimes, unmanifested at other times. So it is seen, sometimes it is not seen. Manifest and unmanifest. So that is what is meant in this by beginningless, that conditioned life exists prior to the creation. But prior to the creation doesn't mean the ultimate creation. Creation is going on again and again and again. Every with every breath, the creation is happening. With every breathe in, the destruction is happening. Again, breathe out, the creation is happening. So we do not know. There is no such point where the first creation happened. It is impossible to point that time. Is it clear, Pro? Like, is it understandable?
Really, it is very, very deep. I am trying to understand.
Yes,
It's very, very deep.
yes. It is very deep, and the clear factor that I'm trying to mention here is that there is no specific point when the creation happened. Prior to creation means any particular creation, any particular point of creation. It is not talking about the first time the creation was done. That is not what it is. That is not what Mahaprabhu is talking about over here. So conditioned life exists prior to the creation means Nitya Baddhas were always there. Eternally conditioned beings were always there. It is impossible to understand with our limited intelligence that at what point that happened, at what point we became bound by the material energy. So we are existing before the creation. When the creation happened, we just started our work again. In whichever body we were, we just started doing our activities again. We could have been in a human body. We could have been in Brahma. See, Brahma, Indra, these are not names of the person, but these are positions. Brahma also dies, and the most qualified person from the material world, the most qualified person, the person who has done the most number of the highest, like unimaginable austerities and unimaginable uh, pious activities, that person will be selected as the Brahma. That person can be selected as Indra. So this is how it works. It is not that Indra will always remain Indra. Once his time period is over, the Indra's position is also over. So that soul that is now Indra will also have to take rebirth somewhere based on the activities. Brahma also. Similarly, all other demigods. So, but this is not, but of course, there are like Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is not, does not belong to that category because Lord Shiva's uh, um, abode is in between the material and the spiritual world. But up to the point of Brahma, because Brahma is the first creator, so up to the point of Brahma, it is the material world. Beyond Brahma is Lord Shiva's world, abode. And then beyond that is the spiritual, the Lord, the Vaikunthas, and beyond the Vaikunthas is Golok Vrindavan. There also there are layers, there are levels, different levels are there. So this is very deep, that is definitely there, but at the same time, this cannot be explained in one class because all this is given in detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and in one sentence it is not possible to explain everything. But yeah, these different levels are explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then commentaries are given by our acharyas in more detail about all these things. So we should just like what I prefer is I just go with words of Srila Prabhupada that yes, once you are out of this house where there is fire, fire has broke out, go out, meet Krishna, and there we can have all the questions answered. Because we don't need to worry about when we came in contact with the material nature. We are here, we are conditioned. Now our focus is how do I get out of here? That is our focus. So I hope to some extent it is
Yeah,
understandable.
as you told that we hope how we will come out of this. Now I was remembering one conversation between Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya, where
Mhm.
Ramananda Raya was telling Mahaprabhu, answering the Mahaprabhu, that out of millions of devotee, maybe one may come to as a pure devotee. So if this is so, then we are where we are means when that will come, that we will be coming out, as you are telling me, we will never come.
No, so what it means is that what Ramananda Rai or what Srila Haridas Thakur or what even Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gnanvam Mam Prapadyate, or Mahaprabhu is saying in Chaitanya Charitamrita that বহু জন্ম করো সাধন ভোজন না কি আহ তবু না পায়ে শ্রীকৃষ্ণর চরণ. Yes, I think this is what Mahaprabhu is also saying. বহু জন্ম করে শ্রবণ কীর্তন, বহু জন্ম করে শ্রবণ কীর্তন তবু না পায় শ্রীকৃষ্ণের চরণ. Why it is being said is that because everybody, um, they see, this is like a hospital, it is an institution. ISKCON is not, Srila Prabhupada has also clearly said that this is the spiritual hospital where all the patients are coming and the treatment is beginning. Now, which patient, if a patient is very sincere, if the doctor has said that you must have this diet, you must have these medicines at this time, you must do these kind of exercises, you should not, you should avoid these things. A patient who is sincerely following these things with faith and with complete faith that, yeah, doctor has said this will work. That, for that patient, the treatment will show quick results. Then there are other patients who have come for the treatment. The doctor is saying something, but the patient is like, ah, doctor will say, and then secretly they will ask the relatives, you get that fried pakoda for me. So these kind of patients are also there. So obviously the treatment will take time. So it is same thing like that. We don't have to bother or worry when we will become a pure devotee, because it is all, I had heard from His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu mentioning this, that ये सब कृपा का खेल है. It is all a game of mercy. We will never become pure devotee by our own accord, no matter how much we try, because we are ultimately nitya baddhas, and no matter what, there is always a tinge of material desire within us. Of course, there are many, many material desires within us. We are unable to accept that I am the soul, and we are always in this false identification that I am the body. So every little thing impacts us. We get impacted with every small and big thing because we are still in that false ego or false identification. And even then, some or the other tinge of material desires are always remaining, and we just have to be sincere. We just have to all the time beg for mercy from our Guru Maharaj, because it is only and only and only and only the causeless mercy of our spiritual master by which we can go back to Mahaprabhu, by which we can achieve Krishna Prem. By our own accord, if we think that I am chanting 16 rounds, therefore I will get Krishna Prem. I am doing so and so seva, therefore I will get Krishna Prem. First thing is, because this thought has come, that means I do not deserve Krishna Prem, because I am thinking that now I have done something, therefore I should get something. This is business or trading, nothing else. When the mindset becomes that I am unable to do anything, that devotee may be doing from morning to night everything. Srila Prabhupada, he just slept for 2 hours, and after everything, he's saying that I am an insignificant servant of God, and all of you, my disciples, you are sent by my spiritual master to help me in his mission. Otherwise, what could have I done? When I listen to this, sometimes I don't know whether to cry, whether what to do. This statement itself is just doesn't go beyond after a certain layer. That Srila Prabhupada is saying such a thing. That is the mood of a pure devotee. And our mood are, I should not include all of you with me, but my mood is some service I do and then I feel, oh, I did such a nice service. That feeling itself means that I'm so proud of myself. I am thinking I have done that service. Arey, what qualification I have to do a service? I never even knew Krishna. Forget loving Krishna. Who is giving this mercy? Guru Maharaj. Until Guru Maharaj is giving that mercy, that thought only will not come. That desire only will not come. That energy, that spirit to do something will not come. Therefore, it is just by the causeless mercy of our spiritual master. It is, I've also heard this, that no matter how many anarthas and dosh and what problems we have till the last moment of our life, we will continue having, we will be doing unknowingly, knowingly, we may be doing aparadh. But if somebody is sincerely trying to do, if somebody is very sincerely putting efforts, and after knowing that they have done a mistake, they are crying, sincerely crying and begging that Guru Maharaj, what what do I do? I'm failing every moment. For such a person, in the last moment, one moment, Guru Maharaj will give darshan, make that person a pure devotee. One moment. and take that person back to Krishna. Till that last moment, I may be having n number of anarthas and full of everything, but I am trying sincerely. I am begging sincerely. In my last moment, my Guru Maharaj will not leave me, because if I am not leaving my Guru Maharaj for a moment, but if I am also okay. ये भी ठीक है, वो भी ठीक है. I am doing only, see, I am doing my 16 rounds. I am doing Mangal Aarti. I am going to the temple also. I am doing Kirtan Seva. I am doing these classes, everything. So many services I am doing. If that is my thought process, that means I have no humility. I am rascal number one. I am a fool number one, because I am not able to understand that Guru Maharaj is arranging everything. He is the one who is giving all these facilities to me. He is the one who is arranging everything. He is the one who is inspiring me to do. He is the one who is giving me the energy, the intelligence, the abilities, everything required. So we don't have to worry actually. Yeah, why Ramanand Rai is saying that is because people are not really able to surrender. They may give lip service. They say that yes, we are surrendered to Krishna, everything we have given to Krishna, now we are in Krishna consciousness. Oh, now we don't even eat in the restaurant. Why is that thought coming? Now we don't even eat in the restaurant. Why should that thought come? If the thought has come, that means there is hypocrisy. That means we are thinking that, see, Krishna, for you I left eating in the restaurant. You are not doing any, we are not doing any um, Krishna doesn't need all these things. Krishna doesn't need all these things. Krishna only needs our love. And when there is love, automatically we will not want all these things. Where there is no Krishna, we don't want it. When there is love for Krishna. So such a person may have so many anarthas till the last moment of the life. So many aparadh they may have done till the last moment of their life, unwantingly. Not that they want to do some aparadh, but something may have happened. I remember one devotee, I'll not name anybody, and very sweet disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. Very dear. His last words were to Maharaj. Um, he was hospitalized, and everybody knew that this is the last day. The devotee is not going to survive. This is the last day. So Maharaj would come and sit with him and pat his head, rub his head. Okay, Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, he would leave everything and come to sit with his disciple, with his spiritual son. And this devotee, he is saying that, Guru Maharaj, please forgive. He was not able to speak also, because I think he had lung cancer or something. Very difficult for him to speak also. And he's saying, he's crying and he's saying that, Guru Maharaj, please forgive me because I have offended you. I am such a fool that I I offended you some days back, and Guru Maharaj and Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj is saying, you forget everything. You have not committed any offense. Now you are going to Krishna. And then Maharaj started describing Golok Vrindavan to him. In the recording, everything is there. And Maharaj is describing Golok Vrindavan to him, and this devotee is crying. And he left his body uh, in the presence of his spiritual master. What is there anything more um, invaluable, priceless than this? So, in one moment, our spiritual master, for a sincere disciple, the spiritual master will come either in person or will manifest himself in any way and take us back. Today's class has gone beyond our time, but that's okay. There are 2-3 incidences, real incidences, not very old, few years back. There was one couple, a husband and wife, and so devotees, if anybody has to leave, please feel free to leave. Um, so a husband and wife, and the husband was not favorable to the wife. The wife was practicing Krishna consciousness, and the husband would always uh, torture her and um, you know, not torture her, but not favorable and not support her. So, but this husband fell sick, and the wife gave her best in order to serve this husband. And that is what our spiritual masters always teach us. That is what Krishna consciousness teaches us, actually. Many people, without knowing anything about the culture of ISKCON, without knowing the teachings that Srila Prabhupada has given us, they blaspheme the devotees, they blaspheme the culture of ISKCON without knowing, and just false uh, accusations they do on this. But this is what the culture, our Srila Prabhupada teaches, that no matter what your husband is doing, serve, because this is what, every person is the son and daughter of the Supreme Lord. We are all children of the Supreme Lord. So for whatever reason, these two souls have come together, and our duty is to serve each other, not expecting that other person should respect or serve me. That's fine, but we should do our duty. So this wife, she gave her life in serving the husband, and one fine day the husband passed away. Now this wife, she was in Krishna consciousness, she did her duties whatever was required, and um, then one night, after the husband passed away, she saw a dream where her husband, her husband came to tell her that, you know what, that old man picture that you have kept in our altar, I saw him. There was a big queue, and there were two queues going, and there were two huge gates. And then I was in one of the queues, and then and I saw that on one side people were being pulled, they were beaten and taken inside the door. On the other side, that old man with the cane was standing in that orange color, and uh, and when he was pointing out to someone, that person was very respectfully taken into that gate with his order, with his permission. So I just came to tell you that, that time I did not believe you, but actually that person exists. I saw him, and then he went away. So this wife, she woke up, and she mentioned this to her guide, or some senior devotee, and then they understood that this husband actually came to tell her. The husband may have been taken to the, I don't know, was taken to the hell or where, I don't know, but that was our Srila Prabhupada. He stands and sees who is coming in the queue, and anybody who is sincere, just by the order of Srila Prabhupada, is taken to Krishna. Prabhupada is personally waiting there. And Prabhupada said this in his class to his disciples, that if you sincerely practice Krishna consciousness, even if you are unqualified, I will take you through the back door. And that sentence is proved by this uh, husband who was dead, came back to tell his wife. So there are many such incidences. Then our Srila Prabhupada's disciple, Yamuna Mataji, Her Grace Yamuna Mataji, a very pure devotee, Prabhupada always said that she is in the Bhav platform. We are all trying to go to the Bhav platform. She was already in the Bhav platform. When Yamuna Mataji left her body, it was in the Brahma Muhurta, she was chanting her beats. She completed her 16 rounds, and then suddenly she opened her eyes and loudly said, Srila Prabhupada ki jai! And left her body because she saw Srila Prabhupada had come to take her. And her roommate, Her Grace Deenatarini Mataji, she was there. She was the uh, witness to this. So, when we say that our spiritual master will come at the end of the lifetime to take us back to Krishna, these are not made up stories. These are fact. These are real. And so many real incidences are there. So we don't have to worry whether we will become pure devotee or not, because by ourselves we are anyways never going to become a pure devotee. It is not possible. We are so materially conditioned in different ways. Of course, Lal Mohan Prabhu is an amazing devotee, not that. And
Nothing, Mataji. Please, I am nothing. I told you that if tuna pure devotee is a peak of Himalayas, I have not even touched the foot of the Himalayas.
but this is our only hope. So our spiritual master is our only hope. We just
Yeah.
have to constantly keep praying, keep begging for his mercy, so that we can become a pure devotee, not because we want to go back to Krishna. Our goal is not to go back to Krishna. Now everybody will say, then what is our goal? For so many days, I was thinking this is our goal, to go back to Krishna. No, our goal is to eternally serve the lotus feet of our spiritual master. It is, if our spiritual master says that yes, you go to Krishna, then we go to Krishna. Otherwise, we are not even interested in going to Krishna. Whatever my spiritual master says, because if we enter a room and if we see that Krishna is standing on one side and if we see our spiritual master is standing on the other side, we should first pay our obeisances to the spiritual master, because it is because of my spiritual master that I am able to see Krishna. Otherwise, I will never see Krishna. And otherwise, Krishna will never appear in front of my eyes. What is my qualification? It is my spiritual master who is giving this qualification. Prahlad Maharaj, when he sees Narsimha Dev came, Krishna came as a special avatar, not for millions of devotees, one small devotee, 5-year-old Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, on seeing Narsimha Dev is waiting to see Prahlad. And Prahlad Maharaj is very calm and very, very grateful, goes to Narsimha Dev and says that it is because of my spiritual master's mercy that you have come to me. And now I am seeing you. So if we see Krishna, we should know it is because of our spiritual master. And when we say spiritual master, we should not think it is just my Diksha Guru. Then we are blindfolded. Then again we are wrong. Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru, anybody who is giving their time, blood, energy in order to guide me is a representative of my spiritual master. Of course, we should also be careful. If somebody is guiding you against the instructions of your Diksha Guru, then there is a problem. So we should also be intelligent enough, because there may be different persons. So we should be very careful. But somebody, a bona fide disciple of the spiritual master, a bona fide representative in Guru Parampara, is also manifestation of the spiritual master. So this is something. This is the essence of everything. This is the essence of everything. We are here for Krishna Prem. We want Krishna Prem, but whether we want to go to Golok Vrindavan or whether we should go to hell to preach it, if my spiritual master says that okay, Shama Karunamai Devi Dasi, next you have to go to this Maharorav hellish planet, we will go there for preaching. Okay, Guru Maharaj, this should be the mood. Although it is, the very thought of it is so scary. But if my spiritual master wants, of course, I don't have that qualification. It is just an example. I have no qualification. These are only for the most special disciples only. And I really hope that someday I can become, by your blessings, all of your blessings, I can become a qualified disciple of my guru, of my spiritual master. So we should all pray like that, that may we become qualified disciple of our spiritual master. Everything else is secondary. Even Krishna is after my spiritual master. This should be the mood. That doesn't mean we ignore Krishna, because spiritual master is representative of Krishna. It doesn't mean that we completely ignore Krishna and only spiritual master. No, that is also wrong. And no spiritual master and only Krishna, that is also wrong. Krishna and spiritual master should be given the same worship, same love, same devotion, same respect. That is the right mood. But at the same time, to understand that I am, because I am, comma, because of my spiritual master. Whatever I have, whatever I am, wherever I'm standing, whatever mercy I'm receiving, whatever dangers that I'm getting protected from, sometimes we can't even imagine that what dangers are coming and how our Guru Maharaj has already put a block there. Maybe a little bit spark has come, and that spark has only felt like, oh, bapre. We don't know. Maybe there was an entire lava coming, entire volcanic eruption was coming, but only one spark has come on us. So this is our spiritual master. So we don't need to worry about when we will become a pure devotee. We should desire for it. Our desire, our goal should be, yes, I want to become a pure devotee. Guru Maharaj, you please make me go through whatever you want. And let me never be a fool by thinking I know more than you. Sometimes when my spiritual master is giving me an instruction, if I start thinking that this instruction is not valid in my case, then there is a problem. That means I am trying to apply my intelligence and thinking that I am more intelligent than my spiritual master. Spiritual master already knows everything. Don't go on their looks. Don't go on their external appearance. It is Guru Parampara. So Guru Parampara is sending the information to the person who is guiding you. You are getting the instruction from that person, but the information is coming from the Guru Parampara. So if we have these points in mind, then we will never, then there is nothing to worry. If we keep these points in mind and go ahead, then there is nothing to worry. Then whatever it is, we know that our spiritual master is always protecting me. Whatever my spiritual master does, that is best, that is perfect for me. With that consciousness, we should go ahead and continue our endeavor, whatever we are doing in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, today I am listening this from Samakaruna Mohi, this Mataji. That is also Kripa of Guru Maharaja. Because 3 years back, I was doing what was not, everything for going to hell. Today I am listening from you, your sweet talk, your divine talk. That is also Kripa from Guru Maharaj only.
All glories to Sri Guru. Mukam karoti vachalam. Jai Srila Prabhupada and Jai Guru Maharaj. So we'll stop here for today. Oh, today we had almost 1 hour class. Hare Krishna. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. Actually, I'm very grateful for your questions, Prabhu, because through your questions, when I'm speaking, actually, I'm not trying to answer any questions that you are asking. Whatever I'm speaking is a reminder to myself, actually. So every moment, your all of your association, your questions, uh, everything that comes is like a mercy upon me, because my Guru Maharaj is reminding me that this is what I should also always remember. So I'm very grateful to all of you. जय महाराज, जय श्री श्रीमद जय पताका स्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय. जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय. निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल.
हरी हरी
हरि बोल.
बोल.